They say in Massachusetts, the soil remembers what the law forgets. I came to house number 11 on Blackwood Street looking for a sanctuary, a place to hide from the debts that were drowning me. But the house didn't look like a home. It looked like a trap. The air was 5 degrees colder the moment I stepped onto the porch, and those marks on the door, 11 deep, jagged clawings, as if something was counting the days until my arrival. As I turned the key, the silence of the woods behind me felt like a held breath. I wasn't just entering a house. I was stepping into a throat. The first night, the house began to digest me. It started with the walls, a rhythmic scratching, like thousands of needles searching for a vein. I followed the sound with my flashlight, but it was faster than the beam. Then I saw them. 11 iron meat hooks hanging from the ceiling, swaying in perfect unison. Creak, creak. They weren't empty. I could feel the weight of something invisible straining the metal. And then a whisper, not from the room, but from the wood itself. It knew my name. It had been waiting for the Blackwood blood to return to the soil. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like they were turning into lead. I thought the ground was solid, but the house had a second throat. Deep beneath the floorboards, I found the dining room of the dead. 11 chairs, 11 plates, and a scent of iron so thick I could taste it on my tongue. The names on the walls, hundreds of them, all erased, except for mine. Elias Blackwood. My family didn't just live here. They fed the earth here. When the hatch slammed shut, the darkness wasn't empty. Something in that clay jar was breathing. Something that hadn't eaten in 100 years. And I was the only guest invited for dinner. The darkness wasn't empty. It was crowded. 10 shadows, tall and faceless, stood like statues of smoke around the stone table. They didn't have mouths. Yet I heard their hunger. My legs moved against my will, sliding me into the 11th chair. That's when I saw it. The shadow that belonged to me. It crawled out of the stone, wearing my face like a rotting mask. It whispered the names of the dead, a litany of Blackwoods who gave their marrow to the house. I wasn't an heir to a fortune. I was an heir to a ritual. 10 have fed, and the 11th must bleed to close the circle. I escaped the cellar, but I ran into a nightmare made of flesh. The walls weren't wood anymore. They were a gallery of the dead. Thousands of eyes, wet and blinking, staring from the grain of the oak. Every time I touched the wall, I felt their last moments. The cold steel, the smell of burning hair, the absolute terror. The house was a library of screams. And now, the windows and doors were gone, replaced by a wall of staring, bleeding eyes. My ancestors weren't just watching me. They were waiting for me to join them. "Close your eyes, Elias," the house whispered, "and we will open them for you, forever." The sound didn't come from the walls. It came from above. A deep, wet thud that shook the floorboards. Thump, thump. My heart started to race, but it wasn't my own anymore. It was matching the house. On the attic, I found the engine of this nightmare. A massive, pulsating organ made of raw muscle and black veins. 10 cords of flesh were already feeding it, reaching down like roots into the dead below. And the 11th cord, it was hungry. It was searching for me. The house didn't want my soul. It wanted my pulse. If I didn't stop that heart, I would become the 11th battery for this living tomb. I backed away from the heart, only to fall into a gallery of glass. 11 mirrors, 11 graves. The first 10 didn't show my face. They showed my ancestors, their skin sloughing off like rotten fruit. But the 11th was the end. My reflection's skin cracked, falling away to reveal brass gears and rusted pistons where my soul should be. It reached out. Cold metallic fingers tightened around my throat from inside the glass. It didn't want my life, it wanted my skin. It was tired of being a shadow. It wanted to walk the world in my bones. The mirror didn't just break, it opened a vein in time. I was back in 1915, sitting at a table of ghosts and silver. 10 Blackwoods, dressed for a ball, eaten a feast that smelled of copper and old graves. They didn't want me to die. They wanted me to taste the tradition. For 111 years, this house has been a slaughterhouse disguised as a home. Every 11 years, a heart is harvested. And I am the grand finale, the new king of the cellar. As they rose from their chairs, silver knives glinting in the candlelight, I realized they weren't just eating. They were preparing my skin for a new occupant. I didn't need a priest. I needed a mechanic. I saw the weakness in its anatomy. The master gear made of calcified bone, hidden inside the pulsing heart. I jammed my steel driver into the center of the nightmare. The house didn't just scream, it malfunctioned. The rhythm of 111 years snapped like a rusted spring. The eyes on the walls burst, weeping oil and blood. The shadows didn't fade, they eroded. I wasn't just escaping a house. I was breaking a machine that had been eating my family for a century. The wood was turning to mush under my hands. I had to get out before the heart exploded. The fire didn't just burn the wood, it cleaned the slate. As the Blackwood Manor turned to ash, the townspeople watched in silence. A congregation of witnesses to a 111-year-old debt. I thought I had broken the machine. I thought I was free. But as I picked up that golden gear from the soot, it didn't feel like metal. It felt like a seed. I looked in the mirror one last time. My face was there, but my eyes, they belonged to the cellar now. The house didn't need the land anymore. It has a heart that can travel. It has a host. And the 11th bloodline has only just begun to bleed.